Welcome back to the show. Junks on 106.7 The Fan and NBC Sports Washington. And we're very happy to welcome in basically the godfather of sports radio. We would not be doing this station. This station would not exist if it weren't for our next guest. It's Mike Francesa, sports radio legend, helped build WFAN from the ground up in the late 80s. He's appearing in a new film with Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems. It's Mike Francesa, the godfather of sports radio. What's up, Mike? Good morning.
Good, guys. How are you? I'm just fine. And, don't give me too much credit for this movie. I'm in it for about 2 minutes. So they asked me to do a bunch of things because it's gotten a lot of attention. But I'm in the movie for only a couple of scenes. I'm not. This is Sandler's movie and Kevin Garnett's movie. It's not my movie.
No. But you have a small role, but it's a great role.
Yes.
I thought you were great. And obviously they want to have a little tribute to you and to your impact on, obviously, New York and New York sports radio and obviously the country. I'm curious. So I shoot little 30-second commercials. I'm sure you've done all that before. And that can take 2 days. So you were on for a total of 2 minutes. I guarantee you were there for several days, right, to do those shots?
No, 1 day. 14 hours. Yeah, I was there 14 hours, all in 1 day. We shot 2 scenes. But really the reason why, and if you've ever done network television, it's a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
You have to deal with meal breaks. So when you did one scene,
right,
in the restaurant, and then we had a second scene in the restaurant, and you had a 3-hour meal break in between. So I went back to the trailer with Adam Sandler and watched the playoff game. We sat in the trailer and watched him, and I knew him before the movie anyway. So, because he used to come on the show every year,
right.
And so I sat and watched the ball game with him. Then we went back and shot the kitchen scene the second time, which was good because they only used about 8 takes on the kitchen scene. On the first scene, they used about 20. They shot about 25 takes, and it was about 200 degrees in the kitchen. So I mean, it was good that they didn't do that many, but it went well. I mean, they liked it. The Safdie brothers came and sought me out and said what I've heard 1,000 times. We grew up listening to you in the back of our father's car. Blah blah blah. So we're big fans, and they're very big NBA fans, the Safdie brothers. They're NBA freaks. Okay, that's all they wanted to talk about was the NBA when I had lunch with them. And then they said, just act like you always act and just, give us the same tone. I said, fine. And that was it. So I didn't use a script or anything. I just ad-libbed off Sandler, and that's how we did it. And it came out fine. So,
awesome.
And they gave me, they put me in the trailer. They gave me a big billing. I mean, they were very nice, very generous about the whole thing. They really were. They gave me a lot more attention than I really deserved.
So wait, Mike, you had no script whatsoever. I like a script for everything, commercials, whatever. It's certainly for a movie, I'm going to want at least a few lines. I might depart off the script, but I want something to go from.
See, I don't like scripts for anything, so I don't script anything. I never have. Everything I've ever done, including commercials, are pretty much ad lib. So
you ask for bullet points? Like when you do live reads, you would just ask for bullet points?
Basically, I have the same live reads so often. I know the copy points. I mean, because they're there for years at a time. Sometimes,
yeah, right.
So those that are there, and sometimes you have them, as you have them 4 or 5 times a show. So you know those like you know your name. So. From that, if it's something new, yes, but otherwise, I would just do it. I just know that I have this commercial, that commercial.
I'm jealous of your rate. Your rate just trounces ours. It's so much better.
Well, you know what? What they were paying me, it better trounce yours. To be honest with you,
right? Mike, let's just talk about your career. Now, I know that you're still doing stuff. You're going to be doing, I think, like daily, I don't know, half hour or something at 6 p.m., something like that.
I agreed that they bought all my content, Intercom and Radio.com, which they own. They really want to build, David wants to build Radio.com up. It's something he really wants to do. So they bought my app and they moved all my content there. And I'm going to do an hour a day on Radio.com. And then they asked me to go back and do a half hour a night on the Fan from 6 to 6:30, which I'll go back and do in January. That came up late in the negotiations. I've agreed for 3 more years to just do an hour a day, and I can do whatever I want. I don't have to do sports. I can do politics, do whatever I want on Radio.com, just an hour a day. And then I'm going to do 30 minutes a day on the Fan. So I'm going to do 90 minutes a day.
So are you going to are you going to actually drive to the station to do it, or are you going to do it from home?
No. God, hey, listen, I haven't driven to the station in 2 years. So I have a studio in my house. So I haven't been to the station. I haven't been to the station since I came back. I never went back because the commute was that's one of the reasons I left. The commute was 2 hours each way. I don't like the train, so I would drive every day, and it took me basically an hour and a half to 2 hours to get back and forth every day. I live on Long Island,
right,
on the North Shore, up in a town called Manhasset, if you're familiar with Long Island.
Yeah.
So it was a long time to get back and forth all the way down to Soho, where our studios are. So that's I don't have to go in at all, to be honest with you. So I won't go in the station very much.
We're talking to Mike Francesa, just the legendary, the godfather of sports radio. When you were off for a bit, something we struggle with. I mean, look, we're still in our late 40s, about to approach 50, most of us. So luckily we've been fortunate enough to do this for almost 25 years, and hopefully we get to say our goodbyes. Who knows? But I struggle with loving this job and being off and just like loving vacation. What makes you still want to do it, Mike? You've done it all.
No, I like doing it. I mean, listen, if you like sports like yesterday, okay, I guarantee you guys came on this morning. Now, your team stinks, but you had a freakish beat yesterday. So anybody who's listening to your show, that was one of the worst beats. If you bet the Redskins yesterday, that was one of the worst beats I've ever seen.
Right.
One of the worst beats ever. So,
just nonsense.
I mean, just awful. I mean, there was like 1,000 things that could happen on that play, and almost every one would end the game with the Redskins covering. Fun. And that was him throwing the ball backwards to somebody who was on the run and picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. So that to me is something that, would be a topic of conversation, as would how bad your team is all the time. We have a lot of teams in New York that we can talk about in that vein all the time, especially the Knicks.
Right.
So, I mean, there's always something, when you have a town like New York where you have so many teams to talk about, there's always so much to talk about, and what we do is just flip the page and go right to the next team. So, I mean, that's what we do. There's always something to talk about. We have the good, which is the Yankees, and the mediocre, and then the terrible. I mean, so that's how it works. But you have 9 teams, so it's a whole different deal, Yeah. But, hey, the thing about sports is there's always something new. Every day it's a new script. That's the best part of it, is nothing is the same. There's always a new story or a new angle every day.
Do you miss it, though, when you're off? Do you go, I wish I could be on to talk about this?
Not in the summer. Never in the summer. I don't miss it in the summer. I don't like working in the summer. I like the sun. I like playing golf. I like going to Saratoga. So I don't miss it in the summer. I like doing it the rest of the year. I like when there's a big story. I hate being off when there's a big topic. I can't stand it when there's a big story going on, something that really is going to really have the city buzzing. I hate being off. Then I have to be on. So that's always been my way. I have to be part of that. That's just who I am. Does it infuriate you when people would goof on you, Mike? We all done this a long time. We all make mistakes. I don't worry. You can't listen. If you're going to get as much attention as I got, and get as many awards as I got, and be as successful as I am, you're going to get that. You can't You can't worry about it. They've parodied Dog and myself forever. Okay, right. That's going to happen. You just got to live with that, and that's part of the deal. I mean, that's part of, if you're the president, there's part of that. If you're successful in any job, that's part of it. You got to if that bothers you, then get out of the business, because you just can't worry about that stuff. I never have. It doesn't bother me at all. And honestly, I got to the point where. And I swear this is true. I got so many stories written about me. I never read them anymore. It got to the point where it didn't matter anymore. You got, in the beginning when you got press, you'd read everything. You'd clip out the newspaper column, you'd keep it, But then when it gets to the point where there's so many, and it happens, every, so often, and 3 and 4 newspapers, you just forget about it. It becomes part of your life. So I don't even worry. You didn't worry about that stuff anymore. You really didn't. You didn't like if it was totally inaccurate or it was unfair. But you can't fight it. You just leave it alone. Criticism is part of the game. It really is. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. If you don't have people criticizing you, then no one's listening. You're not doing a good job. No, I mean, really, you got to understand that. Listen, if you're on top, people are going to attack. And, listen, I was fortunate enough with Dog for 20 years. And then by myself for the last 12 years, we've been lucky enough to be on top the whole time. So people are jealous, and there's going to be a lot of attention, and you just take that as part of the deal. That's all. You can't worry about it. Plus, I attacked a lot of people. I went after a lot of people. I can't get upset if people are going to come after me, too, because that's just part of the game. Right. I love that. So let's talk just about the trappings of your success for a moment. You made a ton of dough, so I know that you have a beautiful house. I'm sure if you're into cars, you have all that sort of thing. But what sort of
I don't know, special moment what's the biggest, like, have you met presidents, Mike? Like, what's the biggest thing that you've been able to do because of your career? And I'm not talking about a house you bought or a country club you belong to, but have you ever had, like, what are the one or two moments maybe in your career where you're like, wow, if I wasn't Mike Francesa, this would never happen to me?
No, I mean, listen, we were lucky enough to interview a couple of presidents. We've been pretty much lucky enough to interview a lot of people. I mean, in all different walks of life. So I think that's part of it. But I think the biggest advantage, money's not the biggest advantage. I mean, there's a lot of people on Wall Street, a lot of people in New York make a lot of money. So money's not the biggest advantage. I think the biggest advantage is just the access that we had to everything. In that it got to a point where if you needed to get to somebody, you could get to them. Like, I got to a point where if I needed to know something, I would just call up the owner. I mean, of most of the teams. I mean, there's one or two who wouldn't talk to me, but I mean, most of them would. I mean, most of them I have, I have their numbers, we text, stuff like that. So I think having access like that is something you build up over a period of time. I think that is one of the more positive things. And just being able to, it gives you freedom to just do what you wanted. If we wanted to go to somewhere, if we wanted to go to an event, if we wanted to go to a game, we were going to be treated very well when we showed up. That was a big positive. So we could go pretty much wherever we wanted.
Mike, we're up against the break. You know how that works. We got a hard break here. But it's been a pleasure having you on this show. Yep. I appreciate everything you did for the industry.
So let me ask you, how much time do we have left?
Oh, what do you got, a minute?
Minute and a half.
Okay, here you go. I got a couple of questions. How long have all four of you been together?
Almost 25 years.
No changes in the lineup?
Nope. Never, and never will. We'll go out.
And how do you interview? One person interviews and that's it? Or all four do you usually rotate? How does it work?
There's no set thing. It depends on the interest level. I mean, if Jason has some, baseball guy he's particularly into, he might dominate it. No, but it's a free-for-all, Mike.
Guys kind of jump in wherever their spot.
It's just a free-for-all.
And four guys. Listen, two guys was hard enough for me. How the heck did you ever get along with three different guys?
Well, we grew up together. We have
show. How does a four-guy show work? I can't even comprehend how a four-guy show works when you want to make decisions about the program. I couldn't even think about
here's the answer.
Four voices. Is one guy in charge, or is everybody equal?
Equal. We grew up together, Mike. We're not as talented as you, but the four of us...
That's not true.
But the four of us, we have a chemistry that's hard to duplicate. When you grow up together, we can say things to each other. We can interact with each other. We can carry conversations together in a way that others can't.
No fights?
There are fights over the years, sure. That happens.
Any really bad arguments where you didn't talk for months at a time?
Not months at a time.
Like that.
Not months at a time, but we've tackled each other.
Mike, I'm sorry. We have to run. That's Mike Francesa.
Mike, thank you, buddy.
Sports radio legend from WFAN
Goodbye.
in New York. Uncut Gems. Go out and see it when it comes to a town near you.
We can't have a hard break with the Godfather.
We're the Junks. We're done.
That's
Grant and
brutal.
Danny next on The Fan.